Hey everyone, it's me, Juliana. I'm a nutritionist, as you have known if you watched my previous videos. I actually talk about different topics of nutrition and do product reviews and things like that. And today I am talking about sugar and the 25 ways that it can actually be harmful for your body and how it's making you feel sick. So I wanted to talk to you about that and shine light on such an important issue. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. But if you want to keep watching to find out the 25 ways sugar is making you sick, then keep going. Well, thank you for watching my video. I want to tell you why sugar is hurting you. So, one of the ways that sugar can hurt you is by hurting your heart. So it is part of the reasons why cardiovascular disease can emerge, and it's really important that we reduce our sugar intake because statistics show that you're 25 times more likely to increase your risk of heart disease and what's called heart attacks or myocardial infarctions. So that's really important. Another one is when you see products like fruit juice, no sugar added. Oh, that's still not safe and good for you. I'm not a big believer of juices. I think if you want to have orange juice or apple juice or cranberry juice, perhaps you should eat the fruit instead. The fruit will give you that additive fiber into it, which actually reduces the sugar that it affects on your body. So anytime you have sugar and fiber, it actually reduces the effect of it. Because when you have sugar, your blood sugars will shoot straight up. When you have fiber, it will lower the impact of that sugar on your bloodstream. So it's good when you have a fruit because then it's not impacting you that bad. So that's something to consider. So when you see it's not added, I would still be weary of it. I try to not have, oh yes, of course it's better than those that have sugar in it, but try to avoid it because it's not healthy for you. Because sometimes it's more concentrated than others. Like it's concentrated with carbs and glucose, so be careful. Sugar is limited to dementia, so I'm not too sure if you've heard of that before. I've heard of it a few times, and I know it is. I've actually seen it in real life. So sugar intake, when you have sugar in your body, it makes everything in your bloodstream sticky. Okay, so when you have stickiness flowing around in your body, it sticks to things, and for your neurons in your brain, there's a high risk and there's a high correlation that having a high sugar diet does increase your risk of developing Alzheimer's. I'm not saying that it does, but it does. I'm just saying that there's risk factors associated with it. So there's a correlation that they're noticing in research, and I do kind of see it in my clinical practice, and where I currently work. So it's really important that we take that into consideration. Apparently, the whole thing where don't give your kids sugar because then they're gonna go off the walls, they'll fly off the handle, etc. So I'm sure there is some truth to that for sure, but it can also obviously it's not good for them if they have too much sugar. We have to be mindful of that because I have seen kids with high blood sugars, and young girls at the age of 16, 17, 18 developing diabetes. Yeah, I have. So you have to be careful, and as a parent, as a role model, we want to make sure that we're not advocating for high sugar intake, and because it can also make them develop what's called a metabolic condition or disorder, syndrome, whatever you want to call it. Usually it's metabolic syndrome, but basically it's high blood sugar, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. So just try to avoid the sweets with your children, portion control it, make sure that they're not having more than one, and then if they like two, they gotta pick one. So just something to keep in mind because it is high. I know when I was a young girl, I was overweight. I was really overweight and I was bullied. I loved my cookies and my Nutella. I loved all of that. And, obviously I didn't know any better. I would dip my pizza crust in pop. I would do all sorts of things. So, yeah, I didn't eat the best, and hence why I was at the weight that I was. And now that I know better, I don't do that anymore. I still like my Nutella, I'm not going to lie, but it's very rare that I have it. it's like it's like a guilty pleasure that I have, but not all the time. Another thing that we have to consider is sugar and snacks and things like that. So we have to be careful of smoothies. When we make fruit smoothies, we want to make sure that you're not adding a lot of fruit at once and then having adding vanilla yogurt and honey and things like that. That's a lot of carbs and sugar all at once. That's spiking up your glucose really quick. Anything liquid that's high in sugar is going to spike it up really quick, spike up your blood sugar really quick. Then your liver and your pancreas got to work really, really hard to reduce the insulin to bring down the sugars. So when you have a smoothie, add some vegetables and modify how much fruit you put into it. Don't just put yogurt, honey, fruit. Not good. Try not to do that. I know it's tasty, but in your health, what's happening inside, not so good. Oatmeal, flavored oatmeal packs. And there is a lot of sugar in them, obviously, because it is kind of like a preservative and they do taste good and things like that. So I actually, out of all the sugar or instant oatmeals out there, the one that I did the product review on before, watched my video on it, it's from Gluten Frida. I really like that one. There's really not a lot of sugar. Oatmeal is carbs. You have to understand that. So when you have oatmeal that's carbs mixed with dried fruits and more sugar additives into the product, you're going to have a high sugar product in general. So we have to make sure that we read the labels, read how much sugar is given to you in one pack, and maybe do still cut oats that are better for you. More time, but less sugar, healthier for you. Another thing to do is trail mixes. The dried fruit and trail mixes can raise blood sugar, so just make sure that you're having not just the dried fruit in it, that you're adding that there's more nuts and seeds as opposed to that. Oh, I should say that if you have any digestive issues such as diverticulitis, Crohn's, things like that, be careful with nuts and seeds because they can get stuck in your intestine alignment, which is your small intestines. It can cause polyps, so be careful. Yogurt, obviously try to get yogurt that's plain. I'll have a lot of moms ask me, what's the best yogurt to give my child? And sometimes I'll say, really, plain yogurt with fruit. That's the best one. If you're going to go low sugar, because there is going to always be a bit of sugar in that product, but when you're flavoring it and when you're flavoring the sugar, when you're flavoring the yogurt with sugar and with different fruit flavors, you're going to have that impact. And don't get yogurt with fruit in them because that will also spike up the sugar in the content. Okay? So avoid those. And salad dressings, try to make your own. Try to make your own homemade dressing. There are some salad dressings out there that are really good, but they are high in soybean oil and sugar. So just be very careful. Read the product label, read the ingredients, and make the best decision out of that you like. But try to make your own. I always make mine honey mustard, balsamic, and olive oil. A little bit of herbs and spices. That's it. That's how I like my salad dressing. For other things that you need to know, so sugar can actually damage your liver. I don't know if you know that, but there is something that we know when you drink too much alcohol, it can cause liver cirrhosis, which is scarring of the liver. And usually when you scar your liver, it can't replenish itself. It can't grow back. So it's not good. So there is such thing as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is NAFLD. So if you ever heard of that before, that's what it is. And basically it's the fibrosis and the cirrhosis of the liver. So when fat is stored around the liver and inside the liver, it gets upset. And it's sending out enzymes and markers to let you know. So when it comes up in blood work, and it lets you know that there's something wrong with the liver's not happy, then usually an ultrasound will happen, and then it will confirm that there is some liver enlargement. It's inflamed, it's mad, and making sure we reduce our intake, especially if you do have adipose tissue around your stomach. That's going to be sometimes a sign of an NAFLD. And there are patients or people that I've seen who are elevated weight that do not have an AFLD. So it's very up to the person. It's up to the genetics, a lot of other things like that. But having a lot of sugar that's not used, that keeps storing as fat, can get trapped in the liver, and it can be damaging and can scar the liver. So be careful with your sugar intake. It's not just harming one organ. It's like it's the whole, all of your organs, your kidneys, your liver, your pancreas, your eyes, everything. Sweeteners aren't always the best for you. So stevia is one of the best ones, I would say. There's other things like the 5-carbon sugars like xylitol that are pretty good too. They don't have the effects. They can cause diarrhea, but they don't spike up your blood sugar as much, so they say. But still, everything in moderation. Always try to limit your amount. So if you normally use 2 teaspoons, do 1. If you do 2 tablespoons, please do 1 for sure. Things like that, all those changes make a big difference, especially if it's something you're used to. Making that small little change right there will make a big difference, trust me. I don't know if you know that, but pop too, I don't like pop at all. Pop, diet pop, things like that, they can do the same thing. They can spike up your blood sugars. Aspartame, there's something about aspartame that will obviously, the way it's breaking down in your body, it can still cause you to gain weight. So try to avoid those. If you want it once in a while, fine. But try on a daily basis. No, I've seen people drink like 2 bottles of 1 liter, 2 1-liter bottles, and it's not fun. So try to not do it, just for your health. For a long day, sorry. Cancer cells are sugar fiends. So don't know if you know that, but cancer cells can eat off the sugar in your body, and usually people with elevated weight who are living with obesity class 1 to 3 or more, they are more prone to the risk factors of developing cancer because your body's in full inflammation mode. And your body doesn't like to be in inflammation mode, so cancer cells can develop. Not saying that they will, but it's possible. So we have to make sure that we are reducing our sugar intake again for this reason, because no one likes the C word. No one. So sugar can keep you up at night for sure. It can. It's like an adrenaline boost. It has a euphoric feeling of your epinephrine and norepinephrine. Yes, hormones are involved with that. So try to not have sugar at nighttime. I'm a firm believer of not having any fruits or carbs or crackers or cereals, anything carb related. Avoid it at all costs. Do not have it before nighttime. Okay. Liquid sugar, I guess, is a big common theme. Try to reduce your liquid sugar in all forms. Smoothies, pops, juices, and anything else that you can think of that has lots of sugar. Try to reduce it. Sugar can actually affect your cholesterol. I don't know if you knew that, but it can. There's a lot of research again behind it that cholesterol can be impacted by sugar, and it can make it higher. Well, it's more about your triglycerides. When your triglycerides are high, it's called hyperlipidemia or dyslipidemia, and basically saying that there's excess sugar in your body. So your body says, okay, I got to get rid of this sugar. What do I do? So your body will say, okay, store it as fat. And that's how fat accumulation occurs. So we have to make sure that we're breaking this fat genesis, or lipogenesis is what it's called, to prevent that. So try not to, if you are having issues with your cholesterol, especially your triglycerides, this is why, for sure. Not even a guess, this is why. So cut down your carbs, your sugar intake, and again, you'll see an improvement over time. Not right away. It takes time to build up your elevated triglycerides. It will take time for it to go down, okay? And depending on how your diet was, it could be fast. There's a lot of packaged foods that have lots of sugar. So again, please be aware of what you're buying and bringing into your household. Look at the ingredients. Look at the nutrition facts label and really understand what it's telling you. Is it 10 crackers or 10 cookies that are giving you, how many grams of sugar, and if you are, make sure you watch your portion, okay? Because this is kind of like an amount of what's in a sugar drink, and just drinking that, it's gonna spike up your blood sugars, and it's gonna be high in the glycemic index, so something we don't want. Obviously, having a high sugar intake is bad for your BMI and your weight, like I mentioned before. So we have to make sure that we are watching it and being careful. Sometimes you have to, with your food labels, you got to really be observant with the food labels and product knowledge. Do your research. Every time I'm in a grocery store buying a new product, it may take me a long time to look for something, but I'd rather make the best choice and decision for me and my fiance. I don't have kids yet, but you have to look at that. It's me and the health of my partner that I'm looking out for. So we have to make the best choice based off our wants and needs. There's a lot of ingredients. There's a lot of things that are incognito. So high fructose corn syrup. Then there's honey, maltose, dextrose, evaporated cane juice. All those things are sugar. So be aware of it, and make sure you make your best choice and look for things, and just really make sure you know what you're reading. Oh, my hair. Another one is that sugar can actually affect your respiratory issues. Again, elevated weight can suppress your lung capacity to expand, or your diaphragm. So try not to, and if it's affecting your heart, that could be causing a shortness of breath, which could be another risk factor for other things. So it's really important that you are aware of your body and the signs and symptoms that it's giving you, okay? Especially if you are living with polycystic ovarian syndrome, or which you're susceptible to having high blood sugars, and just other things in general. Apparently, so high blood pressure is another issue on its own, and having high salt in the diet and alcohol will raise your high blood pressure. But to be honest, sugar is more dangerous than salt, and it's a growing awareness because there's more people with struggling with their blood sugars and have glucose impairment than those with high blood pressure and high blood pressure impairment. I've seen it a lot, and I see it on a daily basis, so it's something we have to be aware of, and it's sugar that's more harmful than salt at this point in time. But still, we have to be careful of both. Sugar can increase your risk of gum disease and periodontal disease. So no one really talks about your mouth health with that, but sugar can increase your risk of cavities, obviously. So we have to make sure that we're watching our carb intake, and it can also affect your blood sugars. Your gums are really important. It's a connective tissue, and we have to make sure that if you are bleeding or anything like that, that could be signs for early gum disease. So obviously flossing the sugar that you've had, flossing, brushing your teeth, or the water pick, whatever, those are all good ways to prevent cavities and things like that, but ultimately it's the diet. So really make sure that you're taking good oral hygiene, and that you're watching your intake, because obviously we don't want gum disease. No one wants bad teeth. Everyone wants a nice healthy smile, and if you are living with gum disease or anything like that, that's okay. It is treatable and it's preventable. We just got to make sure you're doing the right things, and you're using the right tools to prevent you from making it get worse. So these are all things that can be fixed, which is good news, right? So try to lay off the sugar. That could be why you may have periodontal disease. And obviously sugar is addictive, plain and simple. There's things called a food addict. So if you are you just need that sugar. After dinner you need sugar, after lunch you need sugar, things like that. That's probably the bacteria in your body causing you to feel that way. So just try to be careful with that. Be aware of that. Take some prebiotics or probiotics to help manage your sugar intake, or to manage the bacteria in your body to prevent you from having that. And having high sugar diets can also increase yeast infections for men and women. So try to prevent. So if you are feeling, discomfort in that south region, that could be why. It could be because you're having high sugar in the diet, and obviously those who've had that kind of thing before know what to look for. So if you ever see signs of it, lay off the sugar. That's what your body, again, is trying to tell you. And I hope you've learned a lot. It was a long video, I know, but hopefully you've learned something and you can implement it. And if you have any questions or concerns, let me know. I love what I do, and hopefully I've made a difference in your life for the better. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below to find out more videos of me talking about different topics of exercise and nutrition, and why sugar may not be as good for you as you thought. Okay? All right. Thank you. Have a good day.